Hello students, welcome back. Earlier we discussed the different cloud deployment models which were IaaS, PaaS and SaaS. But did you know that we can also use AWS services as any of these models? If you don't, well no worries. Let's understand that in this video. Here we are going to understand what are the different methods to interact with your AWS account and services. So far, we have been interacting with AWS through Management Console, which is a web interface. In addition to that, we have two more ways to interact with AWS. First is the AWS CLI or command line interface. It is a tool that you install and configure on your computer, which allows you to access the AWS services and automate them through your computer terminal scripts. The second method is SDK, which stands for Software Development Kit. It is used by programmers and developers to interact with AWS services directly from the application code. If that doesn't make complete sense, don't worry. We will understand them in detail. Let's start with the AWS console again. It is a web interface to interact with AWS services, and since it can be accessed through your web browser, it is the easiest way to manage resources on AWS. Just log into your AWS account and do whatever you want. What's more, a mobile version of the AWS Management Console is also available. You can install it on your phone and access almost all AWS services from your phone. Isn't that great? Now let's look at some advantages of using AWS Management Console. If you are a beginner, AWS Management Console is the right start as you can very easily interact with AWS services. It's like navigating just another website. But as we discussed, it's easier because of its very clean step by step user interface. For all these reasons, the Management Console is the best choice for performing administrative tasks as a beginner. Now, why only for beginners? Well, that's because some operations in the AWS console are manual and take time. Hence, it's not possible to automate everything through the management console. And that's why we use a command line interface or CLI. Now let's understand this. The AWS command line interface CLI is a unified tool to manage your AWS services. It is a command line interface that allows you to manage your AWS service using your computer terminal. This is a tool you can easily install on your computer. It supports Windows, Mac, and Linux operating systems. You can do everything that you can do with the AWS Management Console. Example, if you want to list all users in your account, then you will open a terminal in your computer and type AWS list users. It will get you a list of all available users in your account. And if you want to delete a user, you could use the command AWS delete user username, and it will delete that user from your account. You can also combine these two commands to execute both tasks in one step. That's a significant advantage of using AWS CLI over the management console. You can automate tasks in CLI. Let's assume you have 50 users in your account and you want to delete users whose name starts with M. If you have to do this from AWS Management Console, you will have to find each user and delete one by one, right? But that's not the case with CLI. Here, you can write the script and use the above two commands to perform the same task, and this will be done quickly. Similarly, you can manage multiple AWS services using the same script. To access AWS through CLI, You need to authenticate yourself just like in AWS Management Console. But here, instead of using username and password, you will have to provide access and secret key. Access key acts like username and secret key is your password. If anything sounds confusing, we are going to install and configure AWS CLI in the next session. Now let's look at some advantages of using AWS CLI. It is a great way to interact with AWS through a computer terminal and is an excellent way to automate tasks and achieve infrastructure as a code. Finally, we have the SDK. It stands for Software Development Kit or Dev Kit in short. As the name suggests, it's a set of software tools and programs used by developers to create applications. Now, if you are thinking that it's similar to AWS CLI, that's not true because you cannot use AWS SDK in your computer terminal. This is only used with or within your application code, which allows your application to interact with AWS services. SDK supports many different programming languages such as C++, Go, Java, JavaScript, .NET, Node.js, PHP, Python, and Ruby. There are also mobile SDKs for Android and iOS available. Let's understand this with an example. Assume you are developing a mobile application that will allow users to share their photos. For that, you will be using Amazon S3 as the storage. We will talk about S3 in detail in another module. But in this case, your application needs to interact with AWS Amazon S3 service, right? You cannot use AWS Management Console or AWS CLI in this scenario because you want your application code to interact with the AWS service. Therefore, you use AWS SDK. It will allow you to access and manage your AWS services through your application code. You might already know the advantages of using SDK. It is a perfect tool to interact with AWS through application code. It is great for interacting with AWS within application code. So students, I hope you now understand all the three methods of interacting with AWS.